Something unprecedented is happening right now, and most people aren't even ready to talk about it honestly. Millions of men have quietly stopped approaching women, not because they can't, not because they're socially clueless, but because they've looked at the modern dating landscape, run the risk assessment, and decided the most rational move is total disengagement. We're witnessing the largest voluntary withdrawal of male attention in recorded history, and only now are some women beginning to notice the silence. They're confused, irritated, even angry. But men aren't confused. Men are protecting themselves. And until people are willing to understand why, this withdrawal will only grow. The truth is simple. Rejection isn't the fear anymore. The fear is destruction. A man can approach politely, respectfully, harmlessly, and still end up recorded, ridiculed, posted online, called a creep, accused of harassment for a greeting that wasn't wanted. It's not no men fear. It's the possibility that a single misunderstood moment can become a permanent stain. I hear the stories constantly. They used to sound exaggerated. Now they sound normal. A client told a coworker, "Nice haircut." Nothing flirty, and HR called him in. Another asked a woman for coffee after friendly conversations, and she blasted him online with his photo, calling him predatory. 10 years ago, these were shocking exceptions. Today, they're just Tuesday. Meanwhile, some of the same women asking, "Why don't men approach anymore?" are also posting content celebrating men being humiliated for trying. They cheer when a guy is filmed being awkward. They repost videos mocking men who say hello. Then they turn around and lament that no decent men shoot their shot. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Even the female invasion of male spaces trend has turned into a comedy sketch at this point. Women go to hardware stores believing they'll find real men. But men in Home Depot aren't trying to flirt. They're trying to buy drywall. A guy comparing drill bits isn't looking for romance. He wants the right tool, not a social trap. One of my clients avoided a woman who repeatedly accidentally bumped into him at the auto parts store. Not because he wasn't interested, because he couldn't risk where the interaction might go if she later decided she didn't like him. The safest approach is no approach. Double standards make everything worse. Some women demand a man who leads, decides, takes initiative. But the moment he actually leads, controlling, toxic, the expectation becomes lead, but only exactly how I want, when I want, and never in a way that challenges me. Men's boundaries, laughed at. G'day, a man says he's uncomfortable with his girlfriend posting thirst traps, insecure. But she can dictate who he hangs out with, what he wears, where he goes, and that's called standards. Her preferences are empowerment, his are misogyny, and pointing out the double standard is treated as an attack. Even basic compliments have become dangerous. One older man told a younger woman she looked nice in her dress. She filmed him without his consent, plastered it online with captions implying predatory intent, and it went viral. His grandchildren saw strangers calling him a creep. He was being polite in the way his generation was raised. Now kindness itself is a risk. Breakup dynamics? That's another battlefield. Women who once expected men to beg during ultimatums are shocked when modern men simply say, "All right, take care," and walk away. A client's girlfriend said, "Propose by Christmas or I'm leaving." He calmly replied, "Okay, then let's end things now." She collapsed emotionally because she wanted leverage, not consequences. But the rules changed. Men aren't bargaining with manipulation anymore. Many women create drama expecting the man to chase, storming out, blocking him, waiting for the frantic apology. But men have tapped out. You want to leave? Leave. You blocked me. Nice. Save storage space. Drama only works on someone who still feels obligated. Men don't feel obligated anymore. First date expectations are equally unreal. One coffee meeting and she's writing wedding vows in her head. He thinks, nice date. She's naming kids. If he texts too soon, desperate. Too late, disinterested. Too much, clingy. Too little, player. Every woman has her own unspoken rule book, and men are somehow supposed to magically know the rules in advance. It's a game where the rules change every round and no one explains them. Tiny details ruin entire connections. A man orders dinner for her after she said, "Surprise me." But later she labels him controlling. He doesn't walk her to her door because she said she was fine, and now apparently he doesn't care. The margin for error is gone. A single misstep equals instant disqualification. The projection issue is terrifying. Some women build entire fantasies around men they barely know. They decide who he really is, create a character in their internal movie, and when the real man doesn't match the imaginary one, he's accused of deception. He becomes the villain in a script he didn't know he'd been cast in. False accusations are the nuclear bomb men constantly tiptoe around. A client was accused of cheating because his ex found a long hair in his car. It was his sister's. He proved it. Didn't matter. She'd already told everyone he was unfaithful. His reputation was scorched over her paranoia. And when the truth came out, no apology, just silence. The damage remains. Modern dating feels like a minefield. Every step could blow up your career, your reputation, your peace. Men aren't avoiding dating because they're afraid of trying. They're avoiding dating because one wrong woman can obliterate their entire life. The fear isn't rejection, it's annihilation. Emotional instability is another landmine. I've seen messages where a woman goes from "I love you" to "you ruined my life" to "I'll call the police if you text me" in under an hour, with the man not responding at all. Men are expected to survive emotional hurricanes that would be labeled abuse if genders were reversed. Male boundaries are treated as obstacles, not limits. A man saying no is an invitation to negotiation. Her discomfort is a crisis. His is a joke. She can have male friends. His female friends are threats. She can follow half-naked influencers. Him liking a photo is betrayal. The hypocrisy is so blatant it barely needs explanation. The reputation threat is severe. One awkward date, one misread moment, one mismatch, and suddenly a man is the villain of some TikTok story time viewed by millions. His face, his job, his life becomes content. His crime, not being her type or being slightly nervous. Men are living under the threat of public execution for normal human behavior. Peace is rare in relationships now. Home should be sanctuary, but many men return to interrogation. Their phones become evidence lockers. Social media becomes a surveillance grid. A relationship should add peace, not strip it away. Too often, men lose peace the moment they say yes to commitment. Men have realized solitude offers something relationships often no longer do: safety. No false accusations in solitude, no drama, no surveillance, no reputation collapse, just peace. Social media turned dating into performance art. Every text can become a screenshot. Every date can become content. Men aren't dating individuals anymore. They're dating someone's entire online audience. Younger men have watched older men get destroyed by a single accusation, unfair divorce, manipulated custody battle. They're learning. Participation equals danger. Withdrawal equals safety. So they're withdrawing. Approach anxiety isn't about, "What if she says no?" anymore. It's, "What if she says yes and ruins my life later?" Success is now riskier than failure. Good women exist. They're out there. But men can't tell who's safe until it's too late. So they assume no one is safe. It's not personal. It's protective. Articles asking, Where have all the good men gone? Missed the point. The good men are at the gym, in their hobbies, working, building, living quietly. They haven't disappeared. They've disengaged. Shaming won't pull them back. Man up won't pull them back. The risk doesn't change because someone mocks you. It just proves they don't care about male safety. And maybe this is the part you never say out loud. That sometimes you don't know whether you want to be understood or left alone, forgiven or forgotten, repaired or rewritten. You want to be met but not exposed. You want to be seen but not stared at. You want someone to know you but not hold you accountable for the pieces you haven't figured out yet. You want a place to land, but you don't want anyone to know how often you fall. And I get it. I get the contradiction, the ache, the push-pull. Because that's what it means to live with a mind that feels everything like a bruise. You walk through the world as if you're carrying glass inside your ribs, always sure the next impact will shatter something important. And sometimes, without meaning to, you start treating love like a test you're certain you'll fail. You look for exit signs even in places that feel like home. You scan for danger in people who only offer gentleness. You prepare for abandonment even while someone is choosing you. You create distance to avoid being disappointed. You sabotage closeness before closeness can expose you. You ruin peace because chaos is familiar, and familiarity feels safer than the unknown, and yet, there's still a part of you that hopes someone will stay anyway. Someone who sees the storm inside you, and still chooses to sit with you in the rain. Someone who doesn't flinch at your intensity, your silence, your fear of being misunderstood. Someone who doesn't treat your sensitivity as something to manage, but as something to honor. But here's the truth you're not used to hearing. The person capable of staying with you has to meet a version of you that lets them. Not a perfect version, not a healed version, not an invincible version, but an honest one. The you who admits that you want connection instead of pretending you're fine without it. The you who stops apologizing for your depth. The you who doesn't shrink because someone else might feel overwhelmed. The you who trusts that your tenderness is not a burden, but a compass. The you who realizes that being too much is always a myth created by people who are too little. And maybe the next chapter of your life isn't about becoming harder, but about becoming clearer. Not about being easier for others to love, but about choosing people who can hold you without needing you to disappear. Not about hiding what you feel, but about finding places where your feelings are safe to land. Not about protection, but about participation. Not about survival, but about presence. Maybe you are not difficult. You are specific. You require honesty, consistency, depth, reciprocity, emotional fluency. You require someone who can meet you where you are without asking you to come back upstairs when your heart lives in the basement. You require someone who can speak the language of everything you don't know how to explain. Maybe you've never been too complex. Maybe you've just been untranslated. And maybe the reason you feel misunderstood isn't because you're impossible to understand. It's because you've been trying to hand your story to people who only know how to read the summary. And you are not a summary. You are the full, unabridged text, dense, poetic, flawed, contradictory, luminous, inconveniently human. And maybe this whole time, the thing you thought was broken in you was just unrecognized brilliance. Maybe the part of you you've been trying to tone down is the part the right people will marvel at. Maybe the intensity that made someone leave will be the intensity that makes someone stay. Maybe your way of loving, which someone called too much, is exactly what someone else is aching for. And here's the real twist. You don't need to fix yourself to deserve that kind of connection. You just need to stop treating your heart like it's a hazard. You need to stop apologizing for wanting depth in a world that profits off shallow. You need to stop assuming your vulnerability is a flaw when it's the sharpest form of strength you possess. And if you're reading this feeling exposed, good. That means the truth is landing where it was supposed to. You've spent so long editing yourself into something palatable that you forgot what your unfiltered self even sounds like. But that voice, the one you buried under politeness and performance, is the one that will carry you into a life that actually fits. And maybe this is where you finally stop negotiating your own worth. Maybe this is where you stop accepting half connection out of fear of no connection. Maybe this is where you stop shrinking so someone else can feel tall. Maybe this is where you stop equating attachment with loss. Maybe this is where you learn that the right person won't need you to be easy. They'll just need you to be real, and being real. It's the one thing you've never actually tried without apology. So try it now, without rehearsal, without editing, without making yourself smaller to avoid being misunderstood. Speak plainly, feel fully, stand whole. You don't need a new personality. You need permission to use the one you've kept locked behind the door, marked too much. Turn the handle, open it, step out. There is someone waiting in the world who will hear your voice and think it sounds like home. Someone whose presence doesn't trigger your defenses. Someone who doesn't stand at the door. You don't have to chase them, and they don't flinch when you say the truth out loud. And when they arrive, you won't need to hide the parts of you that other people mishandled. You won't need to tone down your mind to protect theirs. You won't need to pretend you're unhurt to keep them comfortable. You won't need to perform stability when your hands are shaking. Because the right person won't be scared of your storms. They'll just bring a light. And maybe that light won't fix everything, but it will illuminate the way forward. Not to a perfect life, just to a life where you're not at war with yourself. You've carried your own darkness long enough. You know every corner of it. You know the shape of your fears, the weight of your silence, the sound of your doubt. You've built homes out of every shadow. But you were never meant to live there permanently. You were meant to rest there, then rise. And this, right here, right now, is the rising. Not the dramatic kind. Not the cinematic montage. The quiet, steady kind. The kind where you decide that the world doesn't get to define the limits of your heart. The kind where you understand that your sensitivity is not a wound, it's a sensor. The kind where you realize your depth is not a curse, it's a doorway. The kind where you stop waiting for permission to exist. Maybe you don't need fixing. Maybe you need witnessing. Maybe you don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be understood by the right few. Maybe the story you've been trying to rewrite isn't meant to be cleaner. It's meant to be truer. And maybe, just maybe, you're already halfway there.